Logan Paul seems to never not be in drama, especially with his ex-podcast host George. A never endless loop of drama. George claims to be a good Christian man that tries to live his life to the holiest ways that he can. But when it comes to tarnishing Logan Paul's career, his ears perk up like a dog ready to pounce on the opportunity to make Logan look bad. Now, I'm not saying Logan Paul isn't a bad person. We all seen him fake cry on television for filming in a forest.
Every parent I meet
he deserves a lot of hate, especially for how he treats his brother. But for this situation of he said, she said, Logan does not deserve this. George had Mike, aka Robin, on his podcast to hash out their differences about how he left Impulsive. But like always, George made Logan look bad.
I had to start my own show because we're not making money on this show and I'm getting pushed out.
You made money on the show.
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
All right, let's talk about this. Obviously, I wasn't on the podcast to represent myself, so I'd like to clarify a few things that were said. As well as having his own credit card, all expenses related to the show were paid for, including all travel and lodging. Obviously, George's total reimbursement came out to $20,000, $317.
Now, I don't know why George decided to show something that would be easily disproven, but obviously Logan Paul is going to have receipts of you being paid. There wouldn't be really much incentive for George to go on to the podcast and not get paid. That wouldn't make much sense. And not only is he trying to attack Logan, he's trying to attack Impulsive as a whole. So he's including Mike and the whole production team included in this.
This is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making.
This statement is so crazy that it's almost laughable. That would mean I'm making $572 million a year.
Now, is it so crazy to say that Logan Paul is going to make $500,000 this year? Honestly, I don't think it is. He's in the WWE. He has his own prime drink. He has his own podcast. He has a lot of ventures that he could be possibly going into that we don't know about. Realistically, he could be making 11 mil a week, honestly, if you think about it, from his drink especially. Now, I think George came at this a little wrong. It kind of sounded a little bit of jealousy. I know that's probably not how he's trying to come off, but when I first seen that, I'm like, that's kind of a little bit of jealousy coming from him. I'd probably be jealous too, but I wouldn't be putting out there that my boy's sending $11 million in the group chat. If he was really your boy, why are you exposing him, telling people's business like that? It was just probably meant to be y'all.
Nowhere near that. What happened was Prime had a very successful month. I think we did like 60 to 70 million, and I sent it to our group chat because I was proud of the business. I was stoked to show the boys, and I think George maybe misinterpreted that as like my personal income.
The show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month.
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the way,
Say,
always
like,
grateful. I was always grateful
like
for
that?
it. Yeah, I don't like talking about money.
I know he doesn't want to talk money. I know he believes it out, but George made $317,000 in the 15 months that he got paid for on Impulsive.
So George said that he made no money on the podcast.
You made money on the show.
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
All right.
Then Logan proceeds to expose that he made $317,000 from being on the podcast, which I calculated to be about $20,000 a month. So realistically, even if he was spending $10,000 to be on the podcast, which doesn't make any sense, like he said, Logan paid for expenses and all that stuff, he was still making at least $10,000 a month profit. And I don't know about you guys, if you guys were put in that situation, would you guys go on to complain that you're making $10,000 a month for being on a podcast where you didn't have to do much work and all you had to do was talk to famous people? Now that sounds like, to me, that sounds like a spoiled brat that didn't get everything that he wanted, and now he's just complaining and he's trying to ruin everyone else's day because he didn't get exactly what he wanted.
The work requirements consisted of about 3 days a month, 3 hours each day, traveling the world, networking, and meeting some of the coolest people ever. It comes out to about $2,300 per hour, and he also had 10% equity of the entire show.
Now, Logan goes on to dissect his whole entire podcast by clip. It gets a lot of repetitive, and they were really yapping a little bit. He goes on to apologize to George.
I wish him nothing but health, wealth, happiness, all the success that he wants, and I hope that one day we can sit down and have a relationship and a conversation.
If you guys like this video, I will direct you to my other video I recently just made about the Drake and Kendrick beef. It's very entertaining. I go in full depth and explain what happened and bring you up to date on it as well. Hit that sub button, hit that like button.